And I'd like to now introduce our next speaker, Lynette Young. Do you really know that many people that can say they've been blogging for 12 years? Well, Lynette Young is one of those people. And she has been helping other people to learn about using social media to improve their lives and to make their world better. Things like podcasting and being effective in virtual worlds. She's an expert at these things. And she uses social media to engage her audience. In the library profession, we talk a lot about using social media to connect with our community. I sometimes think that we really don't know what we're doing. So I'm really looking forward to Lynette's talk so that we can hopefully get some ideas to help us do a better job of it. So let's hear it for Lynette Young.
I'll start up. I have notes because I don't have memory as good as Mimi or Sam. I wanted to stand up here today and ask, who am I? Am I someone that you define because of how I look, or what the name was that I was given at birth, or where I live, or how about how much money I make? Does that make me who I am? How about things like where I worship or where I went to college? I don't feel that these are things that make people who you are or who they are. I think those are your networks. Those are the things that you do or that you are by happenstance. Your religion, your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, these are things that you have. Yes, you can, change your religion, but generally these are the networks that we travel in and part of our core identity. What I'd like to talk about today is tribes, digital tribes. And there's my tribes. These networks that we're kind of put into are just very basic. They're social stratifications of compartments and buckets that we can get dumped into to say, yes, she's female, yes, he's male. And, statisticians can run reports against us and try to market to us and do all these fancy things, but I don't believe that's who defines who we are. I think that's kind of sad, actually, because there's not any human in that. Who we are is not easily identifiable, it's not static, and it's not predictable. We all change. We're much different now than we were 10 years ago, and we will be much different in 10 years from now. I think that something that we often overlook is the fact that we're always looking to connect to other people outside of our networks. We're looking to build those tribes. And those tribes and things that draw us to it, I think, are a very unique and a very personal journey for all of us. A tribe, to me, is something that you are passionate about and something that you feel. It's not something that a bucket that you're placed into. Just as we're not single-faceted people, we don't have one passion, we don't have one interest, I think that we can be members of multiple tribes. The key to all of this is actually to be able to start tribes. And of course, where my forte comes in is the technology. The technology that exists right now that didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago, and how different it will be in just 1 year from now, allow us to build tribes that we were never able to have in our analog world. It's very limiting to think that we can only connect to people that we're physically close to. Technology allows us the speed, this ease of communication that we really didn't have in the past. I mean, writing a letter, even a telephone call, it's a one-to-one type of thing. The technology that exists now allows us to have communications pretty much all the time with anyone that we choose to. Things like Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and Blackberries and iPads and iPhones and all this really cool stuff, YouTube and Foursquare. I mean, these are great pieces of technology that exist right now, but I don't think that that's the tribe. I think that's the vehicle for finding and building tribes. All that crazy technology exists right now, in the corners of our lives. It's not in the forefront, I don't think, for most of us, except for maybe me. But I believe that these technology platforms will become as integrated into our lives and into the tribes that we try to build as the telephone is right now to pick up and call a friend. When I was a kid growing up, one of my favorite television shows was The Bionic Woman. So don't count backwards, please. I'm 22. But I loved The Bionic Woman even as a kid because it was like she was like superhuman. Like she could run faster than a car. So she had speed and she could get places, and I loved it. And the other thing that I loved about The Bionic Woman is that she could hear. Remember they used to do that, na-na-na-na, and you'd hear that thing kind of going? I used to love that. I wanted to spy on my little brother all the time, hear what he was going on. But I love the idea of like overextending yourself. And we all kind of do that anyway. But to me, all of this technology that allows us to communicate with other people makes me feel bionic. I mean, it kind of really does give me superhuman abilities to hear things that are going on that are nowhere physically close to me. And it gives me the ability to be speedy. I can get to Australia right now. I can get to the UK. I could go places. Or things can come to me based on this supersonic bionic internet. Part of what I run into a lot is when people look at the technology and they say, it's so overwhelming, it's so much. And it's like this fire hose coming at you. How am I supposed to go online and build these communities and find tribes if there's so much coming in? Because the information coming in is like a fire hose, but your voice going out sometimes like a whisper, and it doesn't really seem to balance. It's difficult, I agree, but I think with focus, the funnel begins to even out a little bit, and when you can focus on communities online, it becomes more even, and you can actually hone that supersonic bionic hearing, and you're able to better pick out things that you need, and that comes with a little bit of focus, unfortunately. I mean, I get exposed all the time to things online in my communities and my tribes online that I would never, ever get exposed to in my regular, old, boring life as a wife and mom of two. Now, talking a little bit about tribes, what would draw you, Dave, into a specific tribe? I mean, what is it that resonates with some people that they want to go hang out with others online or even in person, because it does work both ways? What is that grabs your attention and draws you to a tribe? Is it that you love movies? Are you coder in PHP? A little geeky? Are you a foodie? Are you really into parenting? Is your community so important to you that that's your tribe? Are libraries so important to you that saving them is your tribe? So think about what makes you tick on the inside, and that is always where I suggest where you go and look online. I mean, tribes can be whimsical things. They could be stupid, to be completely honest with you. You can be a huge fan of mayonnaise. I see it all the time on Facebook. People are like, I like mayonnaise. Like, really? Did you need to tell all of us that? They could be silly things, but they can also be more serious things. Some things that represent you to your core. I know I've been doing a lot of work through this TEDx and watching. I'm a big observer of people, and to see how this, not just the Princeton area, but the whole region and the whole state, for that matter, has really kind of rallied around the library systems here. And that I really see, that's not whimsical. That's at the core of a lot of people's beings, and that's the tribe that they are drawn to. So your tribes are generally, you're being drawn to other like-minded people that have the same unique interest and the same interest as you are. So I think that that's important, that you can do that and be very different people, but with that same goal in mind, and it doesn't really matter. And like I've been talking about just now, is the idea of this, who are you? Which tribe do you belong into? And I have this concept of kind of figuring out your digital self-schema of like what you are on the inside and what your passions are, and trying to get the outside to match that. And everybody's brought in items here that it'd be really fun to try to match the item to the person, because you're generally not going to match that correctly, because what a person feels on the inside and what they're passionate about that they've shown in this room generally isn't something that you'd get on the outside by their name or how they're dressed or just who they appear to be in general. But this is what they're willing to advertise about themselves. Not all tribes are serious. Some are whimsical. We've got a little stuffed guy over there. And we've got, some other stuff. But some things are very, very important. What do we see over here that's important? Books and beautiful pottery and hula hoops, kind of whimsical. So we've got a lot of things that show the dichotomy of the types of tribes that I think people belong to. The benefit of being in that digital community is that you can have access to things that you would not normally have in your everyday life. Notes, I said. I can't remember everything. I'm going to give you a couple examples. Some time ago, in the beginning of this year, we're well aware that there was a horrific earthquake in Haiti. And pre-digital tribes, pre-any of us communicating with other people online, I might have heard about the earthquake in Haiti on the news one night, or maybe the next night, or maybe I would have missed it if we were channel surfing. And if I caught the information about Haiti on the news, maybe I saw a 15-second spot about a family that was affected or the children that were trapped, and all of the atrocities that had gone along with it. Television commercial, 15 spot, you're done, go to the next headline, it's over. There's no connecting, there's no human to that. You're not connecting to any stories, you don't really feel anything. The difference is with the online communities and the tribes that we're building is that you get to actually see that more in depth and be connected a little bit deeper. I had people in my own tribe, in my own community, that were in Haiti and affected at that time. So not only did I get to see them and connect to them, but I actually, follow them through this whole cycle of their issues that they had in Haiti about getting stuck in the airport and everything else. Rather than that 15-second spot, I was disconnected. It was this disembodied voice on the news. When you have a connection to someone, even when it's digital, like those friends that I had that were in Haiti at the time, their stories become very real. You make that human connection, and I think that your reactions are very immediate. Rather than having to be exposed to something repeatedly online or on the television or in news or things like that, you get a little desensitized to it. When you build a community online and you know these people and something happens, I believe that it immediately affects you in a way that those relationships don't happen on the non-digital world like that. Now, the Red Cross had wound up collecting $500 million for that effort based on the speed and clarity that the message traveled online. And I think that was an amazing feat, but it still seemed really big and really foreign to me. Now, granted, I had friends that were kind of, on the ground when that happened and were able to send iPhone videos and whatnot out to the internet. But I think that was an example of a global tribe because people came together for $500 million to help that country through the Red Cross. But that was very global. It's still abstract, even though I knew individuals in there. Global tribes don't always need to be global, I think, online in the digital tribes. A couple months back, I was at a kind of a bar get-together after a conference, sitting at a table with a bunch of people that I knew, and some of them I didn't know. And I wound up having a conversation with this one woman that was next to me. And we were actually talking about this topic and saying about small worlds and you never know who you're going to run into. And she and I wound up having this conversation. And I go, wow, she seems kind of familiar. I think I know her. And then all of a sudden I realized that we had been friends on Twitter and Facebook for like 2 years. And I never knew who she was to look at her because that's not how I connected with her. I connected on her thoughts and her feelings and the information that she passed along, not on this little tiny avatar that kind of I really never paid attention to on Twitter. And all of a sudden she jumps up and she's like, oh my gosh, like, what's your Twitter handle? And I'm like, Lynette Radio. And I'm like, what's yours? And she said, food philosophy. She's a big foodie, so, and I'm not, although I like to eat. So, we realized that we had this connection and we didn't even know it because the physicalness, the human of it, wasn't really required to make that friendship. So that was a couple months ago, and then fast forward to just a couple weeks from today ago. I log online and I see that this girl Jennifer's apartment was broken into. And among other things, they had stolen her laptop, which for someone that's in our line of work, losing all of your data and your connection to your tribes and your communities online is devastating. You're completely just cut off. And what had happened is, we're like, that really stinks. We're so sorry to hear it. And then the very next heartbeat was, how can we help her? What's in it for us to help her? We raised, and I think it was like 2 or 3 days, we raised $1,500 just between members of her tribe to replace her laptop. And we did that. I threw $5 in the kitty. You know what? It's an extra coffee that I wasn't drinking. But the amount of money that collectively the tribe kicked in to help her replace a laptop, the insurance wasn't going to cover, or whatever, for whatever situation, she was really out of the money. It was devastating. But that $5 altogether made a difference in her life. And not only did it make a difference in her life, it was a way for us as her tribe to prove and to show that we value her and that we want to take care of her. She matters to us, and that was our best way of showing it. Now, her tribe is made up of very, very different people. Jennifer and I don't really travel in the same circles. She's a foodie, and she's a professional culinary person, and she travels the world. And I'm a technology professional, and I'm potty training a toddler. So we just totally don't have the same kind of lives, but we happened to travel on opposite sides of the same tribe. She, as well as I, was an early adopter of podcasting, especially women in this field. It was very rare back in 2004. So that's kind of how we connected, and those ties were linked, or those links were weak between us until there was a moment of need between one of us, and then we just kind of stepped in to take care of our tribes. The nice thing is that digital tribes, this whole concept of digital community, really makes the world smaller. There are a lot of you in the audience that I've known online. There are a lot of you in the audience that I knew offline in the real world and then kind of met back again online and things like that. So I believe that it flows both ways. Now, part of being in a tribe and being in a community, I think, is the concept of identification, of that visualness, that costume or mask that a tribe may have, to identify yourselves as being part of a tribe or to show your affiliation with people on the outside. Sometimes it isn't best represented by our physical appearance. I mean, you can see the avatars aren't always what we feel like we want to put forward to other people. Because I look like this, but inside my own head, I have wild purple hair and tattoos all over me. I don't really look like that. Some of us go and we wear Eagles or Jets jerseys before the game. We put yellow ribbons on on trees in front of our homes. We wear tea bags hanging out of our pockets. We wear rock concert T-shirts, stickers, whatever. I think something that should be noted is that a lot of us put stickers on our cars. So if you think about what those tribal markers mean, that those the bumper stickers on the back of your cars, I mean, kind of look at the back of the card. What does that tell you about someone? Someone with the Christian fish on the back of their car versus the Darwin fish? I mean, do you automatically assume, because of how someone looks, by what they put on the back of their car, a Christian fish, is they're naturally going to be a conservative and very religious or practicing religious, or someone with the Darwin fish is going to be scientific and liberal? I mean, how do we view people that display their markers? Same as online. You've got the peace sign versus the, this car is insured by Smith & Wesson. So there's, definitely different. You're going to find a different type of person inside of each of those cars. But how we see ourselves from the inside is not always how people see on the outsides. But how we get to choose to represent ourselves, I think, means a lot as well, because we can pick our avatars and pick how we choose to go forward. I think I've seen a lot of different names on people. Like, I chose Lynette Radio you can come up to me and ask me later why I chose the name Lynette Radio to show myself as online. Some people, they're like, whatever, like PC Geek or whatever they want to come up with, but they've shown these are their colors that they choose to show online. some are very, unique names. Some are very boring, like the name that I picked. And, your pictures that you show are also very representative of what you see yourself as the inside, I think. The other version of how you show yourself to other people, either the bumper stickers on the back of your car or by the avatars and names that you pick online, is something as simple as the Facebook groups that you choose to join. There is a group for being fans of mayonnaise on Facebook. Unfortunately, you only have so much space on the back of your car, but in Facebook you can really affiliate yourselves with hundreds, technically 500, different fan pages and groups that allow you to show your affiliation and kind of show your colors about who you think and what you want to be and represent to those tribes online. Some of us pick very funny things, and some of us pick very serious things that represent more of the core of us in the Facebook groups. Now, the concept of tribes I like very much because I like it more than even communities, because as part of a tribe, you almost feel like you're self-contained. The community really does have reachings in and out of other areas, but tribes to me have always felt a little bit more contained and self-sufficient. So there's that process of finding out who you are and finding out who the other people are in the tribes, and you see your friends of friend and mayonnaise, maybe you really like it too and you want to go join that tribe. But the concept of tribes, I think that you have to take care of your own. You have to teach your own, and you have to nurture your own within that tribe. And when I was coming up with this, I thought, well, there needs to be tribal leaders, but I don't think there are leaders in tribes. I think there are tribal elders. I think there are mentors within tribes. And I think there are stewards. And the fact that people have to come and they have to take care of each other, mentor each other, and lead through wisdom with each other, even if it is that mayonnaise group. It doesn't cost anything to share your knowledge or share your love online. That's a given. I deal with companies all the time. They're like, we can't give anything away. It's our money. It's our information. I think to be a part of this, you definitely have to give something to get something back. If you're not going to look at your group, of your community, of your tribe online, and you're not going to say, like, how am I contributing to the community? And what do they need that I can give them? Instead of going out to them and saying, well, what do they have that I can use? How much money, disposable income do they have? I don't think that that's the right way to go about going to a tribe. So if you're going to look at tribes and say, how can I sell to them? How can I monetize? I don't believe that you're going to be in a tribe very long. You're going to be out in the woods by yourself starving. It's just not going to happen. I think before business comes human. So a lot of us get onto these digital tribes and these digital places to find a part of more community and things like that. I think, we'll skip ahead. But what I wanted to say here is that, I mentioned a couple stories about tribes and things like that, and it's also meant to me that you can't be friends or you can't have real relationships with people based only on online status. I mean, there are people in my tribe that I would not only donate a kidney to, but I would leave as guardians of my children should something happen to me. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So there are hundreds of tribes. There's no limit to who you can connect to and who you can love and who you can respect and who you can teach just based on the physicalness of where you live. I think the digital is where we really need to go from now on. But I would like to leave you with this, that I think that today here we built a new tribe for TEDx and New Jersey Libraries, and I would like to just say welcome to the tribe.